Oldest siblings of Reddit. What do you hate about being the oldest sibling? My older brother told me his whole life he hated the fact that whenever he made a mistake he was a big disappointment to our parents. But when the rest of us made the same mistake later, our parents were already pretty much over it. I just bought a motorcycle and my parents went out of their goddamn minds. My brother said he had been waiting a long time for one of us to get a bike first, so he didn't have to be the disappointment. My brother got every privilege at a younger age than I did. We are 4 years apart. I had to wait until I was 12 to listen to the parental advisory music. My brother then complained about how it wasn't fair and my mom caved a few months later. Same with having my own phone line, watching PG-13 movies, you name it. Man, I had to go to bed at 8 until I was 12 because my sister would kick up so much fuss that we went to bed at different times 3 years apart. Dang, your sister didn't go to sleep until 3 years after you did. Must be tough. How did she live like that? 3 years apart, damn. The leniency given to the younger siblings. As the oldest, you're basically the guinea pig for your parents, so it's usually easier for the younger ones. Exactly. And your parents getting mad at you for things that years later your siblings do without punishment. Or your siblings did something that you had absolutely nothing to do with, but you are the one that gets in trouble because you should have stopped them. When I was 17 to 18, my younger sister and her friends would take our dad's beer and I'd get blamed. Every single time. Until I moved away to college, and they kept at it. No dad, I didn't drive 5 hours home from school just to swipe 6 hams out of the fridge. There was a story here on Reddit where a dude said his younger brother would pretend that he beat him up to get him into trouble the last time he did, that the dude's mom grounded him or something like that. So he asked her, "So I'm getting punished anyways, even if I didn't do it?" She said yes, and he responded by really punching/beating up his brother. If you're gonna do the time, then might as well do the crime. I'm 2 years older than my brother. Whenever I unlocked a new privilege he got it at the same time. When I stopped having a curfew, wham, he stopped having curfew. When my parents stopped caring if I had a few drinks, bam, he was having beers with dinner. When I went off to college and my parents basically dropped any real rules, slam, he didn't really have any rules either. It helped that he was relatively responsible and never really abused the leniency. Being the executor of our parents' wills. Edit. To all who have pointed out that this is not necessarily the plight of the eldest, you're right, of course. There are many things that go into a parent's decision, and the oldest isn't always the most logical choice. It just seems to fall that way more often than not. As the youngest, I'm kinda glad I'm not the eldest or middle. They are both on the list for medical decisions, not me. I'm not the one to say, pull the plug. That would be hard. It's important to talk with family about this stuff before it becomes an issue. I'm mom's only child, and I still don't have control over that decision because she has made it known to everybody what her wishes are. It's kind of morbid to talk about at first, sure, but considering the alternative, it's so much better. Just let everyone know. I know, but I don't have to live with that decision. You have to be a good role model, and I have to babysit my sisters often. I was the oldest of all my cousins, so at every family gathering I was the go-to babysitter. Oh god, I know that so well. They haven't seen you for so long. They're just happy to see you. Just play a little with them. And there went literally any family gathering yet. Same here. It was basically take care of them for us, so we don't have to. I'm the oldest of 6, and we are all in our 30s and 40s now. But back about 15 years ago, when I was in my 20s and my parents were getting divorced, I was the one they both wanted to vent to, because they were too immature to talk rationally to each other. So as the oldest, I was stuck with a lot of go-between tasks, which I did not enjoy at all. I'm the youngest of my 5 brothers and my mom chooses me to vent to. I'm pretty sure it's more of a personality thing than how old you are. I'm gonna tell your nan. When things go wrong and your parents aren't able to be there for you, it's usually the oldest sibling that has to step up. My mom got sick when I was in high school and college. and everything then became my job. I'd go buy the groceries after school. I'd get home early to cook for everyone. I would take my brother out to buy clothes/supplies. I had to do the majority of the cleaning. It has left me a little bitter. I was 16 to 17 and trying to raise my sibling because my mom couldn't. I had all the house mom duties and none of the perks. Something similar happened to a girl I knew. Her mom got sick while she was in high school and she had to step up and take care of her mom and sister. She ended up dropping out of high school and their mom passed when my friend was over 18 and her sister was like 15 or 16 at the time, and so technically she was placed in foster care after she passed. I want to say they went to their aunt's. My girlfriend got nothing from the state while her sister got a free full ride of college because technically being a foster child. So my friend works dead-end jobs and has no education and struggles, while her sister has this dream life with a great degree, no debt, and doesn't recognize what her older sister did for her. They don't really speak often like sisters do, which I don't blame my friend having animosity. We had rules of when you get to X age you'll get X thing you're allowed to do, like stay up later, watch worse rated movies, etc. But I was the oldest kid of 3, and the second I was allowed to do anything my little brothers were instantly allowed to do it too. I paved the way for you guys. Being constantly snitched on. You didn't raise your siblings well. My siblings and I used to fight, but we never snitched on each other. My dad found out I got a tattoo and he knew that while I'd been hiding it from him. I would have told my youngest brother. So instead of saying something, he grilled the poor kid, 9 years old at the time, for days trying to get him to break. Kid never said a word. Responsibilities. Yep, I have majority of the chores and have been doing them since I was 13, yet my now 15-year-old sister doesn't have to do them. This is especially for babysitting. I have been watching my younger sisters since I was around 12, and now, whenever my parents leave, I have to watch my youngest siblings. My 13 and 15-year-old sister don't have to worry about it though. And if my youngest siblings do anything stupid, I get in trouble for it, not the others. One of the biggest things that has stuck with me is the difference in expectations around responsibilities. When I was 12, I was left alone for the first time at home, and I wanted to do something nice for my parents. So I cleaned the kitchen without being asked, which is big for a 12-year-old. My mom got home and instead of being praised I got criticized for forgetting to put away a few of the clean dishes that I washed and put on the rack to dry. My youngest brother is now 17, and he doesn't do anything around the house even if asked, and gets no flack for it. It's infuriating. You're kidding. Oh man, that's so shitty. I bet you never wanted to do another nice thing for them again. The pressure to always be fine. Always be okay. There was very little room for me to ever not be anything but put together and composed. I've had to have my shit together since I was like 8. I learned long ago to not ask for help. Siblings can ask. Hell, one can get more financial help from parents as an adult in her 30s than was even possible for me as a college student. It is what it is. Having to beat hard bosses and levels for my younger siblings. Learn to play, you scrub. Blamed for everything. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, but growing up it always pissed me off that I'd get better gifts than my brothers. I'd get like a full set of baby doll clothes and toys, and my brother Sam would get like one Bionicle. I get there's an age gap, but I want him to be happy too. I hated being treated a lot older than I actually was, had so much more responsibility, was treated like a parent, and rarely felt like I was a child. Bearing the brunt of parents' stress and being an unpaid therapist. You're required to always be the responsible one. You're the one who takes the blame if anything goes wrong, because you know better. I freaked out once on my parents when they were standing there berating me in the kitchen for not doing your chores, where your chores included my brothers. They were only facing me, only pointing at me, only talking/yelling at me, while over their shoulder I can see my 2-year younger brother looking bored. So I snapped, "What about him? Why are you just yelling at me?" And so it goes. As a younger sibling, I'm just here to say that my older brother got a full picture album for his birth, and I got a showbox of photos. Being the third parent, I have to take a lot from my parents about my siblings, and give a ton of advice. Having to learn everything the hard way, I had nobody to tell me what was what. My parents were both abusive, narcissistic anti-intellectuals. Most of my friends in early childhood were the same. I was like 19 before I felt truly happy for the first time. When I realized it, I also realized just how shitty my life had been up to that point. Instead of learning how to do things like date, make friends, and cultivate self-respect, I got bullied and fed bad advice by the dipshits I grew up with. One of the very few silver linings of the first 2/3 of my life so far is that I was able to help my younger brother avoid that shit. He's now way happier and way more successful than me, but he still looks up to me. Phantasma here, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to sub for more.